Thank you so much, Vicky, for coming on board and have this interview with me because I think your story is gonna inspire a lot of people. And so do you want to introduce yourself a little bit to anyone or everyone who doesn't know you?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Vickie, and I am a mom of two adult children. I know I don't look old enough, but I am. I am also the mom of my fur baby, Rosie, who's a chocolate lab. Um, I'm working as a human resource manager. I've got my master's degree in human resources, and I've kind of been doing that for years now. I do have a history in social work, so I kind of have the best of both worlds. I do social work per diem and I do human resources. So that's a little bit about me.
That sounds like a lot of responsibilities. Yeah. Uh, and thank you so much again, Vicky, because today we're going to talk about how you overcame binge eating, like 15 years of binge eating, right? From,
Yes,
yeah,
at least.
at least, yes. Because I remember when we first talked, you were talking about the first time you remembered when you were binge eating was when you were 8 years old. And that
Yeah.
was fascinating that hey, Janine is here, Michelle is here, say hi. Michelle said hi, Shanya and Vicky. Hi guys. Um, so today that we're so lucky that we are get to know you a little bit more and also get to know your story, how you end up, permanently end your binge eating after so many things because you've tried a lot of things like therapy, you've tried surgery, you've tried nutritionists, you've tried support groups, and you've tried many different diets, but none of them had worked for you permanently at that point. And I remember when I was talking with you and I was like, oh man, you are so proactive and you're so strong. And I was like, why those things didn't work for you? I mean, all of those methods, I'm sure that they benefit you in some way, but I was just really curious why they didn't help you permanently. So today we're going to talk about that. But first of all, so what was the biggest problem you were dealing with before we worked together, Vicky?
Well, it was the binge eating. And it's not just that, it's not just the food, it's the shame and the embarrassment that comes along with it,
Mm.
all those emotions. And I was the type of person that didn't like to deal with my emotions. So it was a vicious cycle. I didn't like to deal with my emotions. So I turned to food and I ate too much and then I felt ashamed and then I turned to food again. So it was a vicious cycle. Those diets that they put me on, it's restricting.
Mm.
And then it's those beliefs that I had, like those strong beliefs that, oh my gosh, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. And then my body felt like it was starving.
Mm.
So I would turn to food and it was just I couldn't get myself out of that cycle. It was continuous even for a short amount of time, where I wasn't binging, but I would go back to it because it's kind of like the only thing that I knew. I didn't have those
Mm.
skills or the techniques. Nobody shared with me until nobody shared with me why that is. Why am I starving at the end of the day? Why
Mm.
do I feel like I need to turn to food? So it was a very eye-opening experience, definitely.
Yeah, I think like a lot of us will resonate with what you just mentioned because a lot of us have tried, dieting, have tried starving ourselves, but eventually we turn to food and also we don't like dealing with our emotions, right? We just want to numb our emotions, escape from it, release it with food, and then eventually we'll come back. And I remember, yes, you mentioned that at the beginning when we just worked together nighttime binge was one of your main struggles. And I'm so glad that now you don't have that anymore and you eat in a way that nourish your body and you don't feel hungry anymore at night. Is that right?
That's right. That's one of the things that we really had to work on. And you had to increase my understanding on that, because it's like a struggle in my brain. And like, oh, my thoughts are, I'm eating too much, I'm eating too much. And they're like, no, you're not. You're actually not eating enough. And that's why you're starving at the end of the night. And that's why you're binging. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I remember when we were, working together, one of the things you said, I don't know, I eat too much because I always feel hungry. And I said, Vickie, that means that you haven't eaten enough. Like there was this misunderstanding, isn't it, between our brain and our body. What does feeling hungry mean for us? Like a lot of us, me too, when I feel hungry, I was the same as you did. I just feel, oh my God, I'm eating so much just because I'm hungry. But that's the opposite, right? It's like when I'm hungry means that I am actually not having enough. And that little, and I remember we tweak little here and tweak little there, little there, and what you eat and when you ate, and eventually you got there. I think it was like 2 weeks or something adjustment, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
was. So yes, it takes a lot of practice. Like my habit had been in place. Like the first time I remember binging, I was 8 years old. And like I said, I don't look my age, but that was many years ago.
You look fantastic.
But that's many years of that habit. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. It will take some time to retrain our brain and to be able to be in the place of now where you're at. So Vickie, you've tried many, many things. And why did you choose to work with me specifically over, there are so many other amazing programs out there. So why did you specifically choose to work with me, do you think?
First of all, I loved your TikTok videos. That's where I first saw you. And your video that you did, it totally resonated with me, especially the one where you were the child and you were the mother.
Mm.
And you're like, Mommy, I'm full. I'm and your mom says, no, you need to clean your plate. There's starving children out there. And when you came to your adult self, this will lead me to binge eat, because you're making me feel responsible for all the starving children out there. You make my feelings feel invalid, and I'm responsible for everyone else. That totally resonated with me, because I'm like, oh, I have that same exact thing. Like I remember my mom saying there's starving children in Africa. And so I developed from a very young age this idea that even though I'm full, I need to clean my plate. And that stuck with me for years. And then I'm like, she understands, she gets it. So that definitely was one of the things that led me to your program.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I still, my mom is here right now. She still asked me to finish there's one broccoli left, just finish it. And I was like, no, Mom, even though that I want to finish it because you say that, I don't want to eat it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that my message resonates with you. And what about the approach of the program?
I love the approach. Everything was perfect and it was exactly what I needed. You really understood me. I felt understood. I felt heard. And that's important for me, to not only see the scientific method behind it, but also it's like the holistic approach to see everything. And for me to understand, you're like, this is how your brain works. Like you've been in this cycle. This is why you've developed this habit, and it's currently in this part of your brain, and it won't come natural to you until it moves to the other section. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's natural to me. And in order to change that habit of binging, like I have to consciously think about it. And it's not an all or nothing attitude. It takes time, it takes work, and it takes understanding. And that was you gave me all those ingredients and it really worked for me.
That's fantastic to hear. And I'm so, one thing that I love about you with so many things, among so many things, is that you really do the work. Like no matter what, you do the work every single day, and that's why you have the result. And I am just here to, give you the knowledge, but it really depends on whether you will apply it in your life, and you did. And yeah, so that's amazing that you did that so that you have those amazing results. What do you love most about the program?
Well, I love talking to you, of course. Um, but I also like the exercises that we did together. They really work. And of course I would do it. And of course I would do the work. I had doctors out there telling me to starve myself. Okay, I tried that. That didn't work. So you give me a different method. And I'm like, hey, this works. Okay, and you gave it at a good speed where I could build upon it. Let's do this week. Okay, we're going to add a little more to that. You got that part down. So let's add a little more. And each week I just got better and better. And I learned more and more. I'm all about learning. I like learning new things. And it was even more important. I'm learning about myself. And
Absolutely.
it was really a great experience. And not only just about binge eating, but it all goes together. It's the emotion side. It's learning how to love myself. And that's such a big deal for all of us. In the other groups that I've been in, I see that that's a big struggle with a lot of women. They don't know where to start. How do I love myself? And you've really grasped that understanding. You know the steps to take. If you do this first, you love yourself. And isn't that the ultimate goal of everybody?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are so many people that are struggling right there. That's why I think this is so important that we have this interview so that people know there is hope and it is possible for everybody to have that. And I'm like so thankful that you're doing this. And in case you guys are hearing like banging, is my son because the cyclone, he's still at home. So he's like now banging things there. So tell us, what were your results from implementing what we teach in the program after you do the exercise?
So it was so good for me. Like I understood, I had the understanding. I didn't feel guilty about the binge. It was like, no wonder you're binging at night. It's because you're not eating enough food during the day. And okay, you were patient with me because I'm like, no, I still think I'm eating too much. And you're like, no, if you're starving at the end of the day, you're not eating enough. So tell me what you're eating, add a little bit more. And it was just perfect for me. And it was a short amount of time in the program, I stopped binge eating. And that's something that I had done for 15 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no desire to. You were right. This worked. I'm so happy. I had increased happiness and gratefulness. And I learned to deal with those emotions that I haven't dealt with just because I wanted to avoid them. But those emotions aren't me. They're my handbag.
Yes, we talk about this in the program. If people don't know about it, we have this internal dialogue there.
Yes. So it helps me to deal with those emotions that I was going through and that I was trying to avoid, because that was one of the reasons why I did eat also. Yes. Is because I didn't want to have to deal with those emotions. Okay. But when you do deal with them, you're like, oh, okay, that's the emotion. Okay, that's what it is. I acknowledge you. And then it passes. And that's like the healthy way to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so beautifully said. And one of the things you just mentioned is the misunderstanding, like because I was the same in the same boat. I felt guilty and ashamed because we don't know what the heck is going on with us, like why we can't eat like normal person. I just want everybody who are listening to this, it is not your fault because your brain and your body is designed for you to binge. Sounds really, really bizarre, but if you know the science behind it, you know that actually your brain and your body is trying to protect you. So there's nothing wrong with your body. Actually, it just means that you have a very, very healthy body and a brain. So how has so you mentioned you are more happy, you are more grateful, and you basically have a happier life and you love yourself more. I'm so glad to hear that. Where do you think you would be if you didn't join the program?
If I didn't join the program, I would still be miserable. I would still be binge eating. I wouldn't be dealing with my emotions. Mm-hmm. I would be a really sad individual. I would be stuck in that cycle because that cycle is so strong. Definitely. I would hate to think where I would be if I didn't join the program.
Yeah, I'm so glad you are here, and I'm so honored that I get the chance to work with you. So imagine there is somebody here on the fence of joining my program or even get the information on my program. What would you say to that person?
I would tell them to take the courage and to do it. It was the best thing I ever did. Like I said, it's not just teaching you not to binge eat, it's teaching you how to love yourself. And that is so important for your happiness. And I think that's everyone's ultimate goal, is to be happy. And who knew just doing one thing, joining your program, would turn it all around for me. And you've really saved a lot of people's lives. You're doing a lot of good out there.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Vickie, and thank you so much for, taking out precious time in your day and have this interview with me. Thank you so much for sharing this.